With me now, national political commentator on USA Radio Networks and a Trump supporter. No matter how you slice this, it doesn't matter if you're a Trump supporter or not a Trump supporter, and I know you are a Trump supporter. This is not easy to see, and it's uncomfortable to talk about this in Canadian or in American politics. We don't expect to hear about people in a campaign manhandling those who are covering it.
No, we don't. But at the same time, we have to realize this is going to change presidential access by journalists forever because of this case. I think Sarah pointed out perfectly, Mr. Trump is famous for driving Secret Service wild, just going around and walking and having accessibility to people there. I cannot say whether or not Corey knew Michelle. Michelle's a good friend. She's a very aggressive, does a great job of getting the story that she's going after. And in this case, I imagine that's what she was doing. She wanted probably a quote from Mr. Trump as she had her phone out to record. And Corey basically either whether the request had been denied or basically just wanted to make sure that Mr. Trump got on to his next point. Whatever it was, they did obviously have context by that video. But I'm really scared of going forward how this is going to work out. Because with the hundreds of people, the 100 that was around that room, for this to be considered a battery charge, would that make everybody around be considered maybe that they would be accessories to battery? Because nobody stopped at that moment and said, Corey, that's not right. Nobody confronted him.
Well, you're not an accessory to battery if you don't.
If they were sitting there watching it,
tell them they're naughty.
Well, but I'm just saying, would that mean? But they all sat there and watched it. There were all these people. That was the problem.
That was a bit of a melee. I think that was a moving crowd. I think the issue with
But you also had a security issue. You had a security guard right there. That was a security agent.
Touching. And actually, the threshold's very, very low in Florida.
Right.
But there was bruising. I mean, to be pulling someone at the point where you leave finger marks and bruising, that's unacceptable in an office.
I agree. Unfortunately, and in your home, I agree. But to the extent, realize that the only reason why this is why we're leading off this story with
showing the Michelle
those bruises, which I can show bruises having a 6- and 7-year-old that are worse. But I agree.
No, and I agree too. And that doesn't make it right. And I will say also that if anybody wants to contest, she, sending out pictures of her bruising, she showed them to that witness at that moment, and he saw the finger marks. He told the police that he was also witness to this happening, saw the finger marks, and there's an audio recording saying, holy SH.
But this is a press gaggle. We in the press know that we go in, sometimes I joke I need to go in with full Kevlar, because it is. Everybody's trying to get the story.
That's for verbal assault. The full Kevlar is always for verbal assault.
Well, that's
the metaphor.
But also
not because you think you're going to get hurt. Please don't think for a moment we think we might get hurt.
Well, have you ever been in one of these things with people stepping on each other and climbing all over each other?
28 years, Scotty. 28
and you've never
years.
Been hurt?
I have never been hurt by someone in a campaign.
No, not in the campaign. You're right. But you look at the security
I've never been
guard.
hurt by a politician.
Not that, no,
I've
but
been
the security.
verbally assaulted
by
Donald Trump.
Well, but what I'm talking about from the security standpoint, have you ever had people push you back? You've never been pushed back?
Never to that point.
Well, I have to tell you, maybe, for those of us in the online media, they're used to doing 100 people trying to get
I've
one
had an arm put in front of me,
I've been
but
pushed
I've never
back.
been grabbed and yanked and physically pushed.
And obviously, right out of the bat, Corey should have come out and said, I apologize. I don't know what happened. If I did, I'm sorry. I hope that, let's move on from this. That would have been the best answer, the best handling of it.
What about now and the effect of this? We always have an incident with Donald Trump, what he has said or what's happened at an event or a supporter, and then we talk about the effect. Then what? And I'm just wondering what effect you think this might have.
Well, I'm hoping people separate this from Donald Trump, because it obviously wasn't Mr. Trump himself that had it. This was a part of his campaign. This was a normal press event that was happening. I'm sure they will. The only reason why we're talking about this is because it is a presidential candidate and the front runner of a presidential candidate and a controversial candidate. This probably happens every day to numerous people, and you never have it on the front leading off every news.
But you think this happens to reporters?
Report anybody. This happens on the streets in New York. Go down Times Square right now, and you're jostled, and you're pushed, and you're that.
We expect that.
You expect that
from civilians? Sure.
When you're
jostling for position in a ski line or walking down a sidewalk, but you don't expect it from a campaign manager at a political event where we have political press and coverage is part of our country.
Yes, but you sit there and go after. Do you think Michelle following and tailing Mr. Trump was right? Do you think that was good for her to keep doing? Do you think?
I tailed George W. Bush and asked him questions.
And I think then there's no doubt. But why wouldn't everybody be doing that? There's
I did the same thing with Bill Clinton. I tailed him and asked him questions.
And that
Nobody
worked out great.
Physically,
I agree. Like I said, no one wants to have that happen. At the same time, you have to take there's consequences for your action. If you're going to take the risk to jump on top of a candidate and put your microphone,
you need to be aware you're going to get hurt.
No, but you had an agent right there. You had security right there. He obviously didn't think that she was under threat, that she should be in fear for anything. It was a pullback. It was probably an accident. He probably grabbed tighter than he should. He should have apologized. I will definitely admit that. But I think we're making this a huge hoopla out of something that
or maybe you shouldn't have grabbed someone hard like that. It's not about the apology, it's about the action.
But like I said, is it as big of a deal as what we're making out to be? And if it wasn't Mr. Trump, would we really be making this out to be this way?
I think trying to physically curtail the press in an open country like ours is the problem.
I look at other candidates who allow people just to who have rope lines. You have right now holding pins for Hillary Clinton events, and nobody complains about this. Mr. Trump goes and walks around.
No.
He's now having to put people
in. The Trump campaign has been the worst for all press who have reported ever working campaigns in the history of working campaigns.
He's been the worst. Well, I apologize for that.
Has been the most oppressive in terms of not allowing people to cover, and even to spin around to cover the protest.
He doesn't want people to spin around and protest?
He says he does, but he will not allow, when they do go out, and you've seen the examples of reporters getting grabbed by the throat by agents that are there when they dare to
Well, then address that with the agency. Don't address that with the campaign. That's the other side of it.
Isn't it the culture that's being created in that campaign that's leading to what we're seeing all around the campaign?
But these are people coming in that are not being respectful. This is all about respect.
I don't see Michelle as being disrespectful.
Well, and she's sitting there trailing him as he's leaving at the end. Even Sarah pointed out.
Asking a candidate a question is not disrespectful. Let's agree.
No, I agree with that one. But at the same time, the press event was over. He was walking around talking about, and he was on his way out. And there were people trying to get him out. You know what? You still have to have respect. And I have to be honest with you, she worked for Breitbart at the time. Breitbart has had a wonderful access and communication with all the campaigns, conservative campaigns, especially the Trump campaign. She wanted to get her questions. She didn't get it. She got more aggressive. More power to her. Corey should have apologized.
I think we're going to have to disagree on that being aggressive. I saw that as walking up next to a guy. He didn't even
Mr.
flinch.
Trump, though, if you look at him, though, he's even like trying to go across.
No.
He's trying to.
No, he looks at her.
You know what I want to know?
But, by the way, Trump is never one to shy from making a comment.
That is very
Take a look. He's just looking at her.
No,
looking over there. He's not one to shy away. He would have tweeted right away, that lady tried to attack me. He didn't say anything of the sort.
No, he wouldn't, because I think that Mr. Trump knows who Michelle Fields is. Most of us in the conservative movement know who she is, consider her a friend. And like I said, this is going to change our access to all the presidential candidates down the road. This is going to have lasting effects.
Scottie Nell Hughes, I appreciate you coming on to talk about this. I'm distressed that we're even discussing something.
And that I agree with you. That's a shame.
I want to end on this statement from the Trump campaign about Corey Lewandowski. The spokesperson for the campaign, Hope Hicks, said this: Mr. Lewandowski is absolutely innocent of this charge. He will enter a plea of not guilty and looks forward to his day in court. He is completely confident that he will be exonerated. And we're going to get the legal view on this story regarding whether these charges will actually stick, whether this will go to court, whether this will be pled, what will happen. And then, of course, there's that political fallout, too. Up next, back to the actual race. The race, yes, you know, something big is about to happen when every single one of the presidential candidates from both parties shows up in one place. Get ready for more fireworks. We are live.